Hi, welcome back to Homestead to Health. My name is Caitlin, and today I'm going to do part 1 of seed starting for the 6 weeks until spring mark. If you've been catching my other vlogs, I said in them that when I'm planting my 6 weeks until spring seeds, I'm actually going to be starting my 8 weeks till seed springs. I'll just kind of couple in my 6 weeks plants in there with them as well. As you can probably guess by the shorts, it's hot in here. It is 84 degrees in here today, and I'm working on this hunch that we're having such a mild winter that our winter will probably hit us extra late, and whereas we should be able to plant around April 1st, I won't start putting things in the ground until about April 15th, April 16th, something like that. So I'm doing everything on a 2-week delay. Now, as you can probably see, most of this stuff is starting to get tall. Now, I planted this all at the 12 weeks until, or 10, 12 or 10, 12 weeks, I believe. 12 weeks until spring. That's what the back of the packages suggested, and I was just running off of that. Some of these things are doing really well, like the borage and then the cabbage over here, some of my tomatoes. And what makes today a part 1 is that I will not be really starting any more seeds today. All I'm doing is potting up. Still having ant issues. Ugh. Despite all these ants, I'm not going to let this stop me. I'm just going to keep powering through and doing what I need to do. Okay. So there are many ways that you can pot up your plants, but namely, I guess the general idea is just to take them from their small cells that they're in now and to put them in larger cells, which, if you watched my last vlog, I just poked a bunch of holes in these solo cups, and these are going to act as my next cell up. And they'll be in here in these cups until right whenever I put them in the ground. So this is the next level stuff. Some people do a medium container, and then they go for a larger container, and they just keep sizing up and up. I feel like that would be most applicable if you were doing something like a potted plant that you're going to move into your house. You might start it off in a small seed tray, put it up into something like this, and then go into a larger container until it got to the container size that you need it to be. If you just see me randomly like beating myself, it's probably just because I'm being covered by ants. No big deal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all the babies that I need transferring out today. My cabbages, 1 or 2 of my marigolds, these nasturtiums. So these are gold nugget tomatoes. They're doing really well. They're a little leggy right now, but I'm going to show you how to transplant baby tomato seedlings. Leggy means that the stalk is getting pretty long, well, the stalk of the plant. I'll go into more detail in just a second. But these gold nugget tomatoes are doing so well. I got these from migardener.com, and I got many of my seeds from Mi Gardener. Mi Gardener has such cool varieties on there. I mean, a lot of cool varieties, and they're only 99 cents, so you can't beat a good deal. You get very interesting food, essentially. You get very interesting food for very little cost. So I definitely recommend Mi Gardener. And then I think the rest of my seeds are from Baker Creek Heirloom Seed Company, which is the most expensive seeds I have. I don't really go above that. And then my other seeds are seeds that I get on sale at like Atwoods, Walmart, and I'm not even above a Dollar Tree pack of seeds. I'm just a seed girl. I think those are it for news. Now you see that all of these plants that I've chose, they're pretty large. But I usually wait until I see a second set of leaves. So with tomato plants, these are usually the first leaves that you will see, and then they'll have their second set come up. And so that's why I picked those. These are obviously just getting quite large, but you can see back here that they have their second set of leaves, also known as their true leaves. Some back here, quite a bit through here, and then this one is a pretty good example. But that's how you pick which ones. Now these are just now starting to get their true leaves. They're very little. I would normally wait until they looked a little bit more like this, but because I'm just potting up today, I'm going to go ahead and give these guys a run too and put them up in their next pot, and I'm pretty sure that they'll appreciate it. So there's only a handful of tools needed in order to pot up some of these plants. I'm using just regular old organic potting mix, and the reason I choose to go with organic potting mix is because whenever I was actually pregnant with my 2-year-old, I had a doctor ask me if I was into gardening, and I asked why. You know, it's a weird question to ask, and they just wanted to make sure I wasn't around any fertilizers, because they can be harmful to your health just being around it and kicking up the soil and stuff. And so whenever I got into gardening and I was looking up potting mixes and fertilizers and things like that, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't dealing with anything that I thought could be harmful to me. Some fertilizers that are really good for your plants, like sulfur, could be really harmful to you. And so I just, whenever you're getting potting mixes, whenever you're getting soil bags or anything like that, if they have a fertilizer in it, just read the back of it, or go on their website, see if they disclose what fertilizers they have. Because if it's something that could be harmful for you to breathe in, or to be, you know, messing around with, you might want to wear a mask, or just kind of go for something a little different. I go with organics. I go with just things that have just naturally composted matter in it. I just don't want to mess with all the extra fluff, at least not for now, because I also like to individualize how each plant gets fertilized. And I'm also a really big fan of using rabbit poop and all the free fertilizer I've got back there. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. The other tools that I have a wooden skewer and a splinter immediately. There we go. That did nothing. Okay, so I have my wooden skewer and I have my red solo cups and markers. So what I'm going to do as I come up to each plant is I'm going to write down what everything is just on the cup itself. No need for extra markers or tabs or anything like that. I'm just going to write on the red solo cup what the plant is, and then I'm going to fill it with soil, and I'll show you why and how I use the skewer to poke the holes and put the plants in, which sounds pretty self-explanatory, but I think the importance comes along whenever you're planting tomatoes. So buckle up. I wish that was cooler. Alright. After a very rather unfair turn of events, I have just enough red solo cups for everything except for my red rock cabbage, which is the most in need. However, I was going through some of my gardening stuff from last year and I found these little pots. These are seed start pots, and there's 12 pots in a pack, and I actually got these from the Dollar Tree. If you haven't already, go check out the Dollar Tree. I know because it's a Dollar Tree, it's kind of hard to trust things, but there's good stuff there, and I have stuff that I purchased there for last year's garden that I'm obviously still using in this year. So I recommend this. But the very cool thing about these pots are they are biodegradable. Now, that's a little misleading. They are biodegradable. They will zap up, but the ones that I did plant directly in these after soaking last year, it did take them a little bit to get roots established. So I probably would give them a head start this year whenever I go to plant them by just taking my finger after soaking the bottom and busting out the end of it. But otherwise, these worked great, and I'm going to continue to use them this year. So. Okay, so now what I do is I remove the tabs on the plants that I'm going to start, and I use my skewer to create a pit. I didn't moisten the soil first because I want it to be very workable. So I open it up a little space, and I'm going to use my skewer to come up underneath my plant and to dislodge it so that it's easy to move. Bada boom, my little cell. And I see now that I have 2 plants in this one cell. So I'm going to do my best to very gently take it apart and to remove and separate them from each other. I don't want to force it, I just want to wiggle it until it gives, because I don't want to destroy any root system at all. So I'll take it, I'm going to let that one have half the dirt, and I'm going to put it back into the hole and then cover it up. Easy peasy. I'm going to finish doing this plug and then I'll get to the tomatoes. Now we're moving on to the gold nugget tomatoes, and I'm going to show how these are done. So I did go through and I counted whenever I was setting up each cup how many tomatoes in each individual cell, so that I would have enough cups to transfer these. So the fun thing about tomatoes are that up their entire stalk, up their entire stem, you can see that there are these little hairs that they have there. Those are potential roots, and so whenever they're larger and if you fail to stake them up, they'll try to flop over and lay on the soil like this so that they can grow potential roots so that they can get larger. But what we're going to do is I'm going to pot them, and I'm going to show you how you can plant them deeper so that you could establish a stronger plant, because these roots will spread out and become stronger. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, before I mess with my dirt, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my skewer to pop up this little cell. And I'm going to bring my soil bucket underneath me so I don't waste any of this soil. And I'm going to just unearth this tomato. So as you can see, there's not actually much root to it. I'm going to put it in, and then I'm going to make sure that I pot it up to about here, just a little bit underneath the first set of leaves. But I'm not too close, because I don't want, whenever I'm watering the tomatoes, for there to be splashback and for the tomatoes to be potentially sick. So I'm going to put a little hole in here with my skewer, and then using the blunt end of my skewer, and you can use a popsicle, an old pen, a pencil, whatever, that's what I'm going to use to escort my beautiful little roots down in there. And I don't want it to break the plant at all, so I'm just going to go right beside it and make a way for it. There we go. There we are. So these tomatoes here are quite leggy compared to this tomato, and what leggy means is right now they're competing for light and for nutrients, and so the way that they do that is try to outgrow each other, and they become very leggy. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to reestablish them with them lower, so that, like I said, that they could establish roots a little further up and become stronger plants. So in our favor, legginess works. And I'm going to just continue to do that. If you find yourself, though, with having potted up your tomatoes, if they become leggy once more, that they'll be like way tall and like leaning over, that's time to take them out, get them in the dirt, and to establish them with a stake. But I'm going to continue. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep potting. My kids are starting to wake up, and I'm sure they're going to want to play with Mama. So I'm going to just keep going, keep working. And if you're interested to see what I would do if I had multiple tomatoes in one cell like I do here, because I start more than one seed per cell, just in case a seed or two doesn't germinate, I have plenty of options. So I'm just going to take these and gently separate them. I'm not trying to disturb the roots in any way. I just want to separate them as best as I can. And then just do it again. I'm not on you, am I? Put a little hole in there and escort the roots down. Put them in. There we are.
You want to go higher? You coming, baby? What's up?
Okay, so after a few hours, I'm finally done. If you can see, these cells here are about double what the size of these cells, so that what they were starting out in. I probably will have to go back, and with the tomatoes that I added in here, at least, I'll probably have to pot them up into a bigger pot the way that I did here in the red solo cups, which I actually plan on getting more of these. They're so inexpensive, they stretch so far, and they're so easy that I think that there's no other way to do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna spray these down. I've got most of them watered, and I'm excited to see what survives being transplanted into here. Sometimes whenever you're transplanting or you're potting up, you just lose a few plants and it's just the name of the game. I'm really glad that I got to come in here before the seed starting day to pot up all of my plants, because it was really helpful in letting me see what I had seed started already that didn't do well. I know for one, like my Casper eggplants, a couple of my tomatoes, and one or two other plants, they never even germinated, they never came out. And so I got to see what plants weren't doing well. So whenever I go to make my list of seeds to start later this week, I'll be able to re-germinate those seeds and try to do it again. But otherwise, everything's looking pretty healthy, especially seeing them now in their larger pots. They look and feel a little bit more like potential food plants instead of just little wispy things. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I'm about to head to the store and get something yummy to cook and hang out with my family for the rest of the day. If you haven't already, please subscribe. In the upcoming weeks, I have so many exciting, awesome things. I have more seeds to plant. I have the garden to till. We have new animals coming to the homestead, so it's pretty exciting stuff. As I said, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I'll see y'all later.